Hi, my name is Areli. I am starting to post content, booktube content. So today I'm gonna do the Booktube Newbie Tag. How fun. Yeah, it's 10 questions, I believe. I hate how this is like not center frame, but that's okay. Okay, so question number 1. Why did you start this channel? Like I said, I've had this channel since like 2020. Started it because my cousin and I were bored in lockdown and I needed something to focus on. So I started this channel and then I forgot about it and didn't really post. But I have a book talk where I post a lot of bookish content. And recently I've heard talk about TikTok getting shut down or something, and I was like, ooh, I don't want to lose that like very small book community that I'm a part of. So I decided to post on here too, just so I still have an outlet to rant about all the books I love. Question number 2. What fun/unique things can you bring to Booktube? I think that everyone who posts on Booktube is already like fun and unique. I think everyone has their own point of view that they can share. For me personally, I think that the kinds of books that I read aren't the ones that are normally popular on Booktube. Sorry, like my brain wants to say book talk, but Booktube, that's what we're doing now. So yeah. And then also I think that like everyone has their own unique voice, but I think that as a queer Latina, because of the books I consume, I think it's a little different than what you'll normally see. Oh, and then also I read a lot of picture books, and like I don't really know people post picture books on here, but I love picture books. So yeah, hopefully I can bring different books, different perspectives. Oh, also I love doing like crafts and stuff, so hopefully in the future I can incorporate like my love for crafting with my love for books and come out with some fun, fresh video ideas. Question number 3. What are you most excited for? I'm most excited for yapping and rambling and not shutting up. I love talking about the books I read, but everyone who like I talk to in my life is probably sick and tired of hearing me always talk about books. I'm like, oh my god, today I read this, and have you read this? And I know you don't read, but you should try reading this. I've been told this because I have a Gemini moon, so maybe that. But I'm really excited for having somewhere to talk and not having to shut up. Yeah. Excited for the yap sesh. Number 4. Why do you love reading? I love reading because I love stories, because I'm a chismosa. But no, like actually, obviously like books and reading is like stories through text, but I love stories in general. Like I love movies. I love just going to my friends and being like, tell me a story. Or like when I meet their significant others, I'm like, tell me the story of how you first met. Tell me your first date. Tell me everything. And I'll go to my grandma and always ask her to tell me stories too about her life. So yeah, I love reading because I just love stories. Question number 5. What books got you into reading? I've been reading for a long time, and I honestly cannot remember the first books I started loving and really getting me into reading as a child. I remember my dad taking me to the library when I was younger, and I would read like Junie B. Jones. In high school, after taking a longer break from reading, like during middle school, I discovered this book specifically. This is Everything Leads to You by Nina LaCour, and this book is so near and dear and important to me. Like little teenage me lived for this book. So yeah, I would say this one. It was the first book I had read with a sapphic character, and it was also the first queer book I had read that wasn't about coming out, because a lot of queer books are about coming out. And I don't know, something about seeing representation, people like you, written so positively about, where like no one really gets hurt, is just important. Like I had read Pretty Little Liars before, and obviously there's like Emily and Maya, but as much as I loved that series, it wasn't the most positive reflection I had seen of queer characters. Like Allison is just so mean in that series. So yeah, this is the book that got me into reading. It's so important to me. After I read that one, I read like all the like Nina LaCour books. So I read this one like right as it came out, But then I had also read Hold Still and The Disenchantments. I like went through all of them after discovering this book. And then as an adult, I know it's YA, but like I read it in my, I think I was 20. It was also this series, which features sapphic Latina characters. So that was also one of the books that I was really drawn to. And I think that I'm just drawn to books with queer characters and Hispanic Latina characters. So yeah, those are the books that got me back into reading after not reading for periods of time. Question number 6. What would you ask your favorite booktubers? I, unfortunately, at the moment, do not have any favorite booktubers, but I think what I would ask anyone who makes book content is, number 1, how do you come up with ideas for the videos and stuff that you create? And number 2, what is your favorite book that you've recently read? Because if you're like me, you have many, many favorites. But what is your most recent favorite? And honestly, just like anyone who reads, I would ask that too. So if you want to answer that yourself, please feel welcome to do so. Question number 7. What challenges will be the hardest to overcome having a booktube? I think for me, it's definitely going to be posting consistently and then also like talking into the camera. Like I said, I post like TikTok content, but I don't know. There's a difference between posting to TikTok and posting to YouTube. Because if I want to make a TikTok, I just like pull my phone out and record. But if I want to make something that goes on YouTube, I have to like sit down and record, and then I have to edit it, and then I have to make the thumbnail, and then I have to upload it. So yeah, I think just getting used to the amount of difference and effort is definitely gonna be a little harder for me. Question number 8 is, when did you start reading? And like I said before, I had taken a break from reading in like high school and then got back into it. But after high school, I also took a break from reading, and then I really wasn't like interested in getting back into reading. But summer of 2021, I had my nieces with me for a lot of that summer, and I was trying to like find ways to entertain them. And I also wanted my older one to get into reading because summer reading, you know, summer fallback. I could not get her to read. And then someone was like, well, are you modeling the behavior that you want them to follow? And I was like, you know, I really am not. So I got a library card, and I started taking my older one to the library, and every once in a while we would do trips to the bookstore. And I was picking stuff up for myself too, so that she could see me reading and then be interested in reading herself too. So yeah, summer of 2021 is when I started getting back into reading. Question number 9. Where do you read? I read absolutely everywhere. I read in the library sometimes. At home, I'll like read in bed. I'll read on the couch. I read in the train and in the car because I am a passenger princess with no license. So yeah, read in the car to pass the time. And then I read at home too. If I'm like doing chores, I'll play an audiobook to have in the background. And then whenever I have any time, I'll just like sit down and read wherever, in bed, on the floor. I love reading on the floor. Oh, and then when I have my nieces back over in the summer, I love doing like reading picnics. So we'll like read outside. I love reading outside. I don't do it for myself really, but I probably should. Question number 10. What kind of books do you read? So like I mentioned before, I love Nina LaCour's work just for having queer, diverse characters. Like, this is just beautiful. And sapphic characters obviously have my heart. And then outside from her work, just books with like Latina characters in general, I really enjoy because I can relate to. Like, this is a middle grade book, I think, but it's one of my favorites. It's about a little girl whose parents are farm workers. My parents used to be farm workers. Well, my mom was. Just, again, more. This one is queer and Hispanic Latina characters. She's Puerto Rican. This one is queer characters in Portland. Actually, both of these have queer characters in Portland and New York. But yeah. Sapphic characters, Hispanic characters, books with pictures. I read manga sometimes too. I started reading the Nana series really early on and I still have not finished it. But yeah. And then aside from these, I also really love memoirs. Because like I said, I love stories. I just love listening to stories. So I like putting on memoirs, but specifically audiobook memoirs. I was reading Dolly's book, listening to Dolly's book. I think it's called Behind the Rhinestones. And literally, if you listen to the audiobook, it's just like you have like an auntie telling you about her life. Like, I love memoirs. Recently, after reading Jeanette McCurdy's, because that's the first memoir I read, I was like, wow, I really like this. So yeah, memoirs, picture books, queer characters, and Hispanic characters make up most of what I read. Okay, that was the last question. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Yeah, those 2 questions I asked earlier, if you want to answer them. If not, you don't have to. Thank you for watching. Bye!